After 9 o'clock now, allergies are really bad in Central Ohio right now.
You can tell if you just listen to some of our coworkers. Dr. Ghosh is here to help us. She has tips on how to deal with those symptoms this morning.
Yes, I do. I mean, allergy season is in full swing. When you walk around, you'll hear people sneezing and coughing and itchy eyes and runny nose and just looking miserable and feeling miserable. You can feel their pain. It's awful.
If you've been following the numbers, take a look at some of the graphics because it's maple ash and alder pollen right now. Buck has the alder pollen allergies in a big way, but it's been really high because we've been dry now for coming up on 9 days. Nothing to wash that out of the air. Tomorrow and Friday, it gets slightly better because we may have a little rain. So wash some of that out of the air. But in the meantime, what do you do?
Help us.
I know. Well, the biggest trigger in the spring is pollen. So that's what we're talking about. And pollen is basically these little grains that are given off by trees and grass and weeds. And for some people that are allergic, the immune system goes into overdrive. It picks that up. And if you have allergies, just this hyperreactive response, the body thinks it's a foreign body. The immune system says, oh, this is bad. So we're going to throw out antibodies. Antibodies throw out histamine, and histamine gives you all these symptoms. So that's why pollen's a bad guy in the big picture. There's a lot of things you can do. I mean, number one treatment isn't always going to medication and going to the medicine cabinet, but first thing is avoidance. What can you do to stay away from this stuff? So one of the simplest things is we know pollen counts are higher before noon. So in the morning, it's really pretty bad. So if you're going out and exercising and going for a walk or walking your dog early in the morning, maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe do that later in the afternoon or in the evening. And if you do go out in the morning, come back home, take your sneakers off, wash your hair, get in the shower, get that stuff off of you so that you kind of start the day clean. So you get all that pollen off.
Because even though you don't see it, it's stuck to you.
It's stuck to you. So, it gets stuck in your hair, stuck in your clothes, stuck in your contact lenses.
Really?
So people that wear contacts will go, oh my gosh, my eyes are just so bad and usually I'm fine. Well, it's because that pollen's getting stuck to the lenses. So either take them out, get new ones in maybe halfway through the day, or wear your glasses if you can do that.
It's hard when it's so beautiful outside.
I know.
And you want to be out there.
You want to be out there and you want to see. So all those things are important. So avoidance is good. And there's some little things you can do just not to make things worse. A lot of people will say a little glass of wine helps everything. It doesn't really help allergies because wine vasodilates and makes your nose a little more runny and makes your eyes a little bit more watery. And so some people will just naturally sneeze when they have a glass of wine. If you've got, oh, bless you.
Yeah, that happens to Sean a lot.
All the time.
Sean keeps sneezing.
That's odd, isn't it? Even when it's not pollen season. But, you may want to kind of cut back on that a little bit. And interestingly, caffeine will help a little.
So some coffee might actually be a good idea.
This is very good because it actually vasoconstricts a lot of these vessels so that you don't sneeze and you have less watery eyes and runny nose.
Do the over-the-counter remedies work as well as prescription, or does it depend on the person?
That's a great question because most allergy medications are over-the-counter. There's very few that are prescription. And so the ones we recommend, I talked about histamine being one of the chemical triggers for allergies. You use an antihistamine. So things that are over-the-counter, there's several that are generic. They work really well. Nasal steroids like Flonase, fluticasone, which is a generic, you can take that, works very well also. To be careful of, though, are decongestants. People kind of go, oh, I can just take some Afrin or some sort of a decongestant. It works real fast, works great. The problem is if you take it for more than 2 or 3 days, you get into a rebound congestion and you get worse. And so the only thing that'll take care of the symptoms is more decongestant and more decongestant. And before you know it, you can't get off of this stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I would think it would be good to make sure you read the directions, especially on something like Afrin, just to make sure you don't become dependent on it.
Exactly. People don't understand how you can get dependent on a nose spray. It's not like other medications that you can get hooked on. This really creates changes in your nasal mucosa where we have to come in as physicians and start using medications to get you off that medication. So it's a drug for a drug. So talk to your doctor if the symptoms or if the over-the-counter medications aren't helping your symptoms.
We were talking behind the scenes a little bit yesterday, and somebody suggested that honey and that kind of thing are a natural way to help with allergies. Is that true? Does that work?
I think a lot of the natural remedies work short term and they'll kind of mask symptoms for a short time. But if the pollen's out there and you're reacting, other than avoidance, you're going to probably have to go on some medication to sort of block that response because you may get some temporary relief. I mean, we talk about coffee as, oh, that'll help for a short time, and then you're kind of back at square one. So you need something a little stronger, probably.
I've heard some people say, I don't know whether I'm sick or have a cold or if it's allergies. Are there any ways you can tell?
Usually with allergies, you don't get any discoloration of the mucus coming out of your nose, or if you're coughing up stuff. It's usually clear, and very rarely will you get a fever.
Okay.
So those things you want to be a little cautious of. And as usual, if you're not sure, go see your doctor. They can always be able to figure it out for you.
When things turn colors, look out. 'Cause
Yeah.
then
It's not always a good thing.
Then it's bad. Dr. Mimi Ghosh, thank you so much.
Thank you.